Okay, so hello everyone, good evening, and welcome back to our fourth day for the JavaScript Essentials. And just a quick check if you can see me, my screen, and if you can hear me as well. So just drop a signal in our chat. And I think I'm audible. Yes, I think I am. So before starting, I will just screen is visible. Okay, yeah, okay. So you can hear me as well, I think. Okay, that's great. So before starting, let me just tell you how you can mark your attendance. So in the description, you will actually get these 5 links. These 5 links is just going to point you to a same page, and that is our very special page. One link. Just click here, and it will take you to this very special page, and we call this one link. And here you can just look for the day 4. Just click on this mark attendance. You can just choose how much you like this session on the scale of 0 to 10, and I'm just going to go with 10 right now because I like myself a lot. And then you have this section where we are asking you if you're interested in our full stack program that is for 6 months. So yes, because we are giving a very great offer of 7,000 rupees off, that is going to take all of the prices below 30,000. And if you have any suggestions, so just select it that as well, and that's it. So this is how you can mark your attendance, and now we can continue with our session. And today we are going to update our HTML by using our JavaScript. So we are going to change the styling. We will be also updating the text and all, and we are going to do a lot of stuff. So it's going to be a really exciting day for us. So let's begin. The very first thing, so let me just delete this as well. So let's just create this file script.js. I actually deleted this one. And here we have our DOM here. This actually what we call it as a DOM manipulation. What is DOM? Anything that you see on a screen like here is called as DOM. So that is HTML for our JavaScript is DOM. Document Object Model is the full form of it. And it doesn't matter what is the full form here. So for now, let me just open my console again. So the very first step to modify your HTML is that you need to grab the element. So the element that you want to modify. So suppose if I have let's say this h1 here with this text DOM, and let me just change it to change me please, like this. And now we have this change me please. Let me just bring it here. Yeah, so we need to change this. So this h1 is screaming to be get changed, and let's see how we can do that. So as I told you, like very first step is we have to select this particular thing that we want to change, and there are many different ways where you can select the particular element that you want to update. Like you want to update the text, or if you want to update the styling, or if you want to set up some kind of event. So we will be actually doing that. For that we have to select that. So what I'm going to give this element a id. So let's just give this id of title. Yeah, and for no reason, let me just also give it some class of, let's say, header, something like this. So I'm just giving this element here some id and the class. Like obviously you will give some id and classes to your element, so let me just give them these here as well. Now how you can grab these, so you will actually get this document thing. So this is the document, and you get this document by default, so you don't have to do anything. So this document is an object here, so I can also show it to you. So if I'm just going to do a quick console.log for it, you can see that this document is an object here. So see, this is an object, and this object will actually have all the things inside your HTML, and inside this document, so it is an object. So it is an object. Yeah, and inside this object we have some functions, and we can use these functions to get any element from our HTML. So there are different functions. So let me just use the very first function, and that is get element by id. So this is a function or a method inside this object, and you just need to call this function get element by id with the id of the element that you want to grab. So right now I just want to grab this h1, and the ID of this h1 is title. So just go over here and just pass this ID here and just save it, and that's it. And you also have to, so what this get element by ID function is going to do for us, it will actually select this element with the ID of title, and it is going to return this to us. So it is going to return this particular element from our HTML to us. So if a function is going to return something, we have to store it somewhere. So for that we are going to create a variable here, const, and let me just write here, let's say h1 now, and that's it. So inside this h1 you can basically give it any name, let's say h1 title, save it. So inside this variable h1 title, now we actually have our title element. So by using this function, and we got this function from this object document, and the function name is get element by ID, and you just need to pass the ID of the element that you want to grab. And now if I'll just do the console.log for it, console.log for the title, and you can see here that in my console I'm actually getting the same stuff that is in my HTML. As you can see, it's actually the same thing. It is actually the same thing, exactly same thing. So now you have got the access for the element. Now you can basically do anything you want with this element. Suppose, so this is one of the function. We have 2-3 more functions, and we are going to basically see all those functions as well. But for now, let's just update something. Yeah, so let's just do that as well. So very first thing that we will doing here is updating something inside of it. So if you want to update the text inside of this element, if you want to update this text inside of this element, so like we have already grabbed the element, just write the variable inside this. You have your text type dot text content equal to, and you can basically make it whatever you want. So hello world. So what we have done here, we grabbed our element by using this function. We stored that element inside a variable, and now this variable is an object. Inside this object you have some properties and some extra stuff, and you can use these properties and some functions to modify this particular element, h1 title element, whatever the element you actually have grabbed. And to update the text inside of that element, all you have to do is type your variable name, like here, dot text content equal to, and just write whatever you want. And now if I'll just switch over to my screen and see, it's now hello world here. I can basically make it anything I want. So let me just put here some emojis. Let's say this fire emoji, and if I save it, see, now fire emojis are added. So this is very much possible, and you can do whatever you want with it. So I was changed by JS. See, I was changed by JS. So I'm actually modifying this h1 from my HTML here. So this is the h1 that I'm modifying. So this is the h1 I'm modifying, and story doesn't end here. If you want to change the styling, you can do that as well. And to change the styling, again, all you have to do is type the variable inside which you have your like whatever the element you have, dot style, and now here you have to write the CSS property that you want to change. Suppose if I want to change the color, so I'll just type here color, and just write the value of the color, save it, and now it's red. And suppose I want to change the background color, so again just type its dot style and the background color here. But notice one thing, in CSS when we write the background color, so suppose if I'll do this from my CSS here, like style here, and if I grab my h1, let's say grab the title element, and let's write the background color to, let's say, this rose brown here. So one thing you can notice, this is how we write the CSS property, background color. But when you do this with your JavaScript, you cannot actually use the hyphens. Remember, you cannot use these hyphens. So just write the exact same CSS property here after the style. Just write the exact same thing, but remove the hyphen from here, and just make the first letter after the hyphen capital. We call this camel casing. Now as you can see, Using my JavaScript, I have updated the style of this element and I have changed the background color to black here. And so you can actually change anything. Suppose if I want to change the padding as well, I can do this here. So dot, let's say font size. I forgot to do font size. Now you can see the font size is increased. If I want to, let's say, change its margin of padding, so let's say padding is now increased. You can also have the border. So if I want to change the border, so now it also has some border here. So this is how you can do this. It's not that difficult. Let me just choose some better colors. So let's just go with this color for now. For the color here, for the color, let's just choose this color, and let's say go with this one for the background, and let's just go with this one for the border color. Now it is looking much better. Yep, so this is what you can do. So just let me recap everything. This is the document object that you will get from the JavaScript by default. You don't have to create this. Inside this document object, you have some methods. Methods means functions, and you can use these functions to grab the element from your HTML. So this is one of the, and it's the easiest way to grab the element. So just type here get element by ID, and here you just need to write the ID of the element that you want to grab. So right now I have this h1 here. Let's just also create a division. Let's suppose I have a division, and let me just give this thing a ID of card. ID of card here. Inside this, let's have a heading h4, and let me just write, let's say, full stack. Save it, and let me just give it an ID of card heading. Now let's also have something here, paragraph. Let's also have a paragraph after this, and let's just write something lorem ipsum. So I have some data inside of it. I think I just misplaced some things here. Yeah, I think I forgot to add the div. Fixed it. Okay, so we have this now. So now I have an element with the ID card. Let's just style it real quick. So I'm just going to give it a card, and this is the styling that I'm going with for now. Let's just choose some better colors for this. So again, let's just go with I'm just choosing some colors from here. So let's just go with this color for the background, and let's just go with this color for the text here. Okay, it's not looking good, so let me just choose this one. And for the background, let's just go with something else. I think this one will look better. Yeah, and for the body, let's just go with this one, and let's increase the border to something like this. So we have our card here, and let me just decrease its height so it will be a better card now. And let me just change its card heading, and let's just change its font size. So I'm just writing some CSS here, and we have already covered our CSS in the previous session, so it's not related anything to our JavaScript. I'm just writing some CSS here. So now we have a card, and inside this card, why don't we have a button as well? So let me just write a button, and let me just write here, let's say join, and let me also style this button. So for this button, let me also give it an ID of join, and let's just grab this join, and let's have some styling here as well. And let me also increase the font weight to 900. Okay, so now we have our join, and I don't want this border radius here as well as here. I actually don't like the border radius. Okay, so we have our card, and with a button join here. And if you wanted to add some animations and all, you can do that, like this hover effect, like this. And let me also add some transition from 0.4 second. Okay, so now we also added some styling here as well. Okay, so we have created our card. It's all CSS and HTML. I haven't done anything in the JavaScript. And now let me just remove all this, and also let's remove this thing here. And what is now my task is I want to show something. As soon as you will click on this join button, I just want to show a text, let's say hooray or subscribe or something like that, and I just want to show that thing here in the heading. So I'll have a header here, and inside this header let me just give it a, or okay, we will just do that inside of this card heading only. Okay, so now we have our card. Now what I want, if you will just click on this button, I just want to change the color of this button, and also I just want to add something here. Let's say you are joined or something like that. So this is what I want to add. So the very first step, we have to select this button. We have to select this button, grab this button somehow, and we will be again using the get element by ID for now. So let me just grab the button, const join button equals to document dot get element by ID. And what is the ID of this button? It's join. So the ID of the button is join here. So let me just write this ID here, and now inside this variable I actually have the access for this button here. So I can do whatever I want to do this button. If I want to change the styling, I just want to change the text and all, we can do that. And also let me just grab this heading. So the ID of this heading is h4. So let's just grab this h4 as well. So for that const and card heading, and let me just grab the card heading as well by the ID. So by using ID, I'm actually getting the card heading as well. So by doing the ID, after some time I'll just also tell you like how you can do this with class name, by the tag name, and by using the query selectors. So instead of writing this, you can also write some CSS selectors, the same selectors like you were using for the ID. So that is what you can use. Screen is too small to read the content. Let me just increase the font size and like this. I think it's now much better, but another problem is I think this much is better. Just do let me know in the chat like if this much is better. Okay, I'm from Paris in this course. Yeah, thank you for joining. Okay, so it's everything is clear. This sounds good. Yeah. So okay, so now the next step. So far we have actually changed the styling, and we have also changed the text inside of heading. So we actually changed what we have done till now. Text content, we actually changed the text content of something like this. So we have already done this, and we have also changed a styling styling. Yes, let me just write. So these are the two things that we have already covered. There's also one more way, or actually two more ways by which you can change the styling, and we will also be covering all those, so don't worry. So now for this very specific task, we need to set up a event listener. So what is a event listener? First of all, let's just understand. So for that, we need to understand about the events first, like what is event. So anything that any user that who is actually visiting our website is going to do with our website, like all the clicks, selecting something. So if the user decided to select something, scroll, double click, right click, anything. So all these things are considered as the event. So if I'm going to click on this button here, so I'm actually causing an event here. So we have to set up an event listener. So this listener, we will be setting up a listener, and this listener will listen for the event. And as soon as that event is going to be happening, it will actually do some task for us. So let me just recap. So we will be listening for an event. So we will set up an event listener, and we will be giving this event listener a task. So this event listener is going to have some task here, and what this event listener is going to do, so as soon as that particular event will happen, so this event listener will actually listen for the event, and it's going to do that task for us. It's very easy to do in real life, so very easy. So to set up an event listener, first we have to select the element on which we want to set up the event listener. So for now, I just want to set up the event listener on this join button. So on this join button, I want to set up an event listener. So the very first step was to grab that element, and we have already done this, like we have grabbed our element here inside this join button, right? And now the next step is to set up an event listener. So it's very easy, just type your name and type here dot and just type add event listener like this, and that's it. So write the element name on which you want to set up the event listener and just type dot here and add event listener. You could have done this for heading as well, but I don't feel like it would make any sense to set up an event listener here. So we generally set the event listener on buttons, on input fields, so which actually is going to give you some response and all, right? So now for the next step, and that is, yeah, I'll just tell you later, not now. Okay, so now the next step is to, inside this function, we need to pass two things. We need to pass two things here. The first thing that we need to pass is the type of event that we are going to listen for. So like a lot of like so many kinds of events can happen on this button. Somebody can click on this button, double click, somebody can move the mouse over it, they can select something from this. So there are so many kinds of event that can happen here. So we just want to listen for an event that is the name of click. So if you want to see all the event list, just go over here inside this and press Control and space, and it will show you all the possible events that you can listen for. And right now, like key press, key down, input, invalid, load, mouse down, mouse enter, mouse out, mouse paste, pause, play, so many events. And I'm looking for the click here. So click, and and just save it. So we have successfully set up the event listener. So now you have your event listener in place, but we haven't given it any task. So let's just give it a task as well. So for the task, we will be just creating a function. So just create a function, and you can name this function anything. So let me just name this function on click like this. And inside this function, so it's actually our task. So let me just write it, task for click like this. So a function with this weird name, task for click. And inside this, let me just write, let's say console.log, just to check if I was clicked like this. And what you have to do in this event listener, so where you were setting the event listener, in the second argument, you need to pass the name of the function that you want to execute, as soon as this event happens. So let me just give you a quick recap that what we have done here. So we have set up the event listener for this join button by using this add event listener function, and the event that we are listening for is click. And as soon as this event happens, I just want to execute this function, just call this function. So this is our task. So now we have completed our event listener code, and let me just show you the output here. So here we have our console, and if I'm just going to click on this, as you can see, every time I just click, it is just giving me a console.log like this here. And now the fun part is you can write any logic that you want inside this. You can write any logic inside this, any logic that you want. So why don't we write a better logic? And that is, what was the thing that we wanted to do? Yeah, I just wanted to change the card heading to something else. So how we can change the text of this card heading? It's very simple. Just write card heading dot text content, and let me just make it equals to thank you for joining us. So this is what we are going to write here. Thank you for joining us. So now a quick recap again. We are setting up an event listener for this button, and the event that we are looking for is click. And as soon as this click is going to happen, and we want to execute this function, so that is why you have to write this function name here. And now the next part is, inside this function you can write anything that you want to do on that button click. And I'm just writing here just card heading. So this is again another element that we have grabbed, dot text contain, and change its text to thank you for joining us. And let's see if it's working or not. So if I will just click on this, this function will get executed, and inside this function I have this text, and as you can see, it's working. So let me just show it to you again. So if I just going to click on this, it is changing the text inside that heading here, right? So this was the first step. Yeah, this click is inbuilt. If you want to see, there are so many lists. So just go over here and press Control and space, and it will show you all the possible things that you can have here. So let me just add a mouse enter. So this is another event, and this event fires if mouse enters, or like if it is on the top of your content of your element. So if I just move my mouse over it, see, it's getting executed. So let me just show this to you again. So this is another element, another listener, and let me just add one more. Let's say then we have one more and again you can set as many events you want. So let me just set a event listener for this card heading again, just to show it to you. So card heading dot add event listener, and the event listener, let's just listen for mouse enter. And then we can, instead of creating a function here, so let me just create a function here, task. So this is not how we create a function. You can just simply on enter, on mouse enter, just write it like this, on mouse enter, and just create a function here. And what I want to do, like as soon as mouse is going to have like enter over this heading here, let's just change its color. So card heading dot style, and let's change the color to red. So if I'll just bring my mouse over this heading, so this is the event listener. We are setting up card heading on the card heading. So we are setting up an event listener on this particular thing, and the event is mouse enter. And just write the thing that you want to do if this happens. So I just want to change its color to red. Let me just choose a different color. Let's just go with this greenish color. Like it won't be visible, so let's just go with this yellow color for now, like this. Now if I'll just bring my mouse over it, it will become yellow. And let me set another, like you can set as many events you want. So let me just set another event here. So for that you just need to repeat this card heading dot add event listener, and like this on mouse leave. So what is this mouse leave? If you will just remove your mouse from the top of that element, so this this event will fire. And instead of creating functions separately, instead what you can do, you can directly create a function here. So don't need to basically create a function and then you need to find pass the name. You can just create a function directly here. So see, I'm just creating my function directly here on mouse leave, and inside that let me just bring back thing to black here. So let's change its color to this one. So this is the event listener I'm setting up for the mouse leave, and this is one for the mouse enter. And let's see if it is working. See, it's working. So if I bring my mouse over it, so it's yellow. If I remove my mouse, it's white again. So this is what you can do. And the very fun part is, if you write your function directly here, instead of creating it separately, you don't need to mention the name. You don't actually have to mention the name. You can remove the name from here. It's not that important. Like if you want to keep the name, you can, but you generally never keep the name here. So, and we call these kind of functions anonymous functions. So these kind of functions actually have a different name. We call them anonymous functions because they don't have any name. By the way, it won't change the functionality. Everything is going to work like it was working, so it's not going to change anything. So see, it's again working like that only. So this is how you can set up the event listeners, and we have actually covered all the basic of the DOM, document object model. So we have changed, and we also have set up the event listener. So these are the three things we have covered: how you can change the text content, how you can change the styling, and how you can actually set up an event listener. So these are the three things we have already done. And let me just tell you about how you can get the value from the input. So that is all. That is also what we will be covering, and then I'll just explain all these things in the details. Like you can do a lot of things other than that. Like there are three different ways by which you can change the styling, and like there is also by the way, there is no any other way to add the listener. So there is only three ways to change the styling, and there is also some more few ways which you can get the element. At the end of the day, it's on you which way you want to use to get the element. So right now we were using get element by id. You could have also used the get element by class, by tag, or by the query selector. But before that, I just want to ask you, can you explain for in yeah, Jay Patel, let's see if we'll have some more time. In that case, I'll just explain you because we are already out of time for the syllabus. Yeah, so I think I hope you got all this, and if you want me to, if you have any doubt and all, you can ask me. Otherwise, we will move to the next topic, and that is how you can grab the elements in different ways. So just tell me in the chat. Okay, so now let's move to the next part, and for that I'm just going to remove all these. Okay, and this as well. So this time let me just have two cards here, and card 1 and card 2, and it is just going to have the heading. So I'm changing my styling HTML a bit. So heading, and let me just give it a class. Okay, so now if you want to select an element, and let me just create a button here as well, button join all, like this. Okay, so now in my HTML, what I have two cards with different IDs, and I have this h4 with a class name of heading and heading. Remember, like multiple elements can have the same class. So suppose if you want to get an element on the basis of its class, it's very easy. So again, we have a simple function dot get element by class name, and that's it. Inside this, you need to write the class name that you want to grab, like this. So just type here document dot get element by class name, and inside this you need to write the class that you want to grab here. So the element that you want to grab, so the class is heading. So I'm just going to copy it, and let's just paste it here. And again, it will do the same thing. It is just going to grab the elements, and it is going to return those elements to you. So for that, we also need to save it inside some variables. So let me just create a const, and let me just write headings like this. Now inside this variable, you actually have the elements with the class name of heading, but there is a little catch. As you can see, we have two elements here with the same class, heading and heading. So which element you are actually targeting? And the answer is we are actually getting the both elements. So if I'll just do a console.log for you here, and now if I just open this console, as you can see, now I'm getting both the elements. So in my console, if I do the console for this headings, the variable inside this in which I actually got the elements here, so I'm getting both the elements, and they are actually in a form of array. So it's a kind of array. It's not array, but it's a kind of array. They also have the index number. So at the index number 0, I got the first h1 this heading, and at the index number 1, I got the second one. If you have many more, you will get all those. So for that, let me just repeat these. Let me add 4 more cards here. So now we have total 4 cards here, and inside a console, see, I'm getting 4 headings here. So the only thing with the class name is it will actually give you all the elements with this particular class. So this is and suppose if you just want to target any one, so you have to use the index number. So suppose if you just want to target the first one, so the first one is obviously going to have the index of 0. Remember the arrays that we have done yesterday. So suppose if you just want to grab the first one, so headings and 0. And for this, let me just change the style, the text content of it to, let's say, I am first. I am FIRST, first. And as you can see, it's changed to I am first here. Let me just increase the size. If you just want to grab the second one, just do the index number of 1 here, and let me just write here I am second. So this is I am second. So by the class name, you will get all the elements, but you will get an array. Inside that array, you will have all the elements with the same class name, because multiple elements can have the same class name, right? So it's again Can you explain the styling part? Yeah, we will come back to the styling part. Text contain. It is a way to change. Like I have covered this thing in the very beginning, so I'll just give you a recap. So don't worry about that. How you got the color code? So actually, I use a website here. So there are some many websites from where you can get these colors and all. So the website I was using this colorhunt.co. From here I was just getting these colors palette. So there are some beautiful colors that you can use for your UI. So they will actually look good if you just use them in a proper manner. So they will actually look good. So that's why I was just using them. Okay, and the next thing, I think you got the class. It was not that difficult. Just the only difference between the ID and the class is ID will just give you the single element and class will give you array of elements that you have. And now I can just remove this, and let's move to the third one, and that is how you can get the element by the tag name. So it's very easy. Just do this get element by the tag name. That's it. So get element by tag name. Inside this you need to pass the tag name that you want to grab. So suppose if I want to grab all the paragraphs, so I'm just going to write here, let's say P, and again this function will do the same thing. It will grab all the elements with the tag P here, and it will return all the elements to us. So again we have to save them. So paragraphs. Now I want you to answer one question, that am I going to get a single element or an array of element here? So option A, array of element. Option B, and I will just get a single element or an array of elements. So just answer me this thing. And then I will tell you, like I'll just give you the text content, all the recaps and all. And by the way, we will be coming back to the styling. After that I'll just tell you how you can do the styling. Like there are so many ways by which you can do the styling. A option. Yeah, actually, so this is the actual JavaScript. Yeah, actually you got the correct answer, that we are actually going to get the array. So let me just show it to you. So console.log paragraphs, and if I'll just show you, see I'm getting an array, because obviously we can have so many elements with the same tag name. So that's why you will get an array. And again the logic is same. If you just want to grab the first one, just grab the first one by doing this paragraph index number 0, and you can change its text content. So if you want to change the text content of any element, so just write that element. So here we are grabbing the element dot text content, and just make it equal to whatever you want. So let's say I am the first paragraph, and this is how you can change the text content of any element. Let me just do this for the element 2 here as well, and see I'm the second paragraph, and we can continue this thing until we actually do this till the last one, like this. See, so I am actually changing the text content of all these 4 cards here. But now as you can see, it's not that convenient to do this again and again. So here we can use the loops concept and the array concept together. So we can do this in a single go. So suppose if I want to change, the background color, let's say if I just want to change the font, some styling for these paragraphs, for all these paragraphs here. So I have to do this again and again, like paragraph 0 dot style, dot style dot font weight here to, let's say, bold. And again I just want to do this with our font size to something else, let's say 10 pixels, 1 RAM, I think 0.5 RAM em, like this. So this is what I want to do. But as you can see here, it's not that convenient to do this. Like if you want to do this with all the paragraphs, you have to repeat this again and again, like this, and every time you just want to change the index number. Do this with the paragraph 1 as well. And as you can see now, if I give it a save, so this is also modified. If I want to do this with another paragraph, I have to repeat this again. So like this, 2 and 2. So what instead we can do, like instead of doing all this, what I'm actually going to do here, I'll use the for loop here. So what I will do, for loop here, let I equals to 0, and we need to write these two expressions here again. So the condition is going to be until and unless I is less than or equals to, just keep it less than, to the paragraphs dot length. So we want to, it's a simple loop over an array, and every time I just want to increase the value of I by 1. And inside this I'll write the same logic, but I'll just write I here. So I'm actually using the concept of loops and array together to achieve this thing. So as you can see, all the styling of all the paragraph is changed in a single go. Let me repeat myself what I have done here. So I have executed a loop, started from 0, repeated this loop till the length of this array here, and every time I was just increasing the value of I by 1. So for the very first time, so the array of the length of this array is 4 for now. So for the very first loop, the value of I was 0. So paragraphs, here we will have the I. So I will be replaced with the 0 dot style font weight, paragraph 0 dot style font size. Okay, so this is the first loop. Now after this, it will increase the value of I by 1. Now I is 1 here, and again it will do the same thing. It will check for the condition. So 1 is less than 4, it's true. So we'll do the same thing here, and here we are actually doing the same thing again. Paragraph 1, style and font weight, and also it's a simple loop that you use in every programming language. It's not that complicated here, and we have this thing, right? And let me just decrease the font a little bit. Okay. Now what if you just want to don't do this like right away? What if you just want to use this button? So what I'll do, I'll just remove all these buttons here, join buttons for now. So now we don't have any join button. And let me just change it to the button. I'm just changing some of the stylings. Button here. So now I have this button, and I just want to write it change. So what if I just want to do this on this button click? Again, it's going to be very easy. I'll set up an event listener for this. So first thing I need to do is to get this button. So for the button, I'll just give it an ID change here, and let me just get the change button document dot get element by ID, and I think the ID was change. Let's set up an event listener. So change button dot add event listener. The listener that we are going to listen for is click, and let me just write a function here like this. So I'm writing the function directly, and inside this I am just writing the for loop. So let me to make the things easy, let me just rewrite this function after somewhere else. Change. Okay, now let's see what I have done here. So I have actually created a function change. Inside this I'm using this loop, and this loop will actually change the styling for your paragraph, right? So it's actually going to change the styling for a paragraph. And then I'm setting up an event listener for this button, change button, and the event I'm looking for is click, and the function or the task I want to do is this change function. Inside this change function I have this logic, a for loop on the array of this paragraph, and this is what I'm doing. So as you can see, we are using so many concepts, basic concepts together to do something cool. So so now as you can see, we have these things here. If I'll just click on this change button, all the styling got changed. Directly. As soon as I clicked on this, all the styling got changed. So as soon as I clicked on this, all this function got executed, and inside this function we have the actual logic. And now let's add one more thing. What I will do this time, I am going to add a input field at the very top. Input field, and let me just give it an ID. Let's say the ID is value here. Okay, and what I will do, that's it, I think. Not the ID, size. Okay, and it is going to be of type number. So now we have an input field here which is a type of number, and now user will actually select the font size they want, and then they will click on this change button. So let me just bring this button below this input field like this. So and let me just also style this input field just to make it little good. Okay, so we have our input field here and our button here, change button, and I want to get this value that user is putting inside this input field. Suppose user is going to put, let's say, 10. So I just want to get this value 10 here, and if I'll just click on this change button, I just want to change whatever the size of the font related to this value. So let's just do this. It's going to be super easy again. So the very first step is to get that button input field. So if you want to get a value from an input field, the first step is not going to change. Anytime you want to do anything with your HTML, you have to grab that. So the ID is size here. So I'm just going to grab this input field by its ID, that is size, input, and get element by ID, size here. So this is the code I'm writing here. So by doing this, I have successfully grabbed the input field. And now to get the value from that, it's super easy. It's very easy. So instead of doing inside this function change, let me also write one more thing. Console.log size input dot value. So inside this size input, so this is your input field, size input dot value, you will actually get the value that is inside of that input field. So let me just show this to you, so it will be much more clear. So here I have this. If I'm just going to click on this, I think I forgot to save it, and see I'm getting nothing. If I just enter 100, see I'm getting the 100 here. If I let's say do with whatever the random number, I'm getting the whatever the random number like you are putting here. So this is how we get the input from the input field. Just grab your input field, and inside this variable dot value, like you have dot style, dot text content, similarly you have this thing dot value, and this is very much unique for this input field only, and inside this you will get the value. And now what I want here, instead of this direct size, what I want to use this value plus the pixels. So let me just show you like what I have written here. So remember, if you try to add two strings, remember the very first thing, like if you try to add two strings, it will actually join these two strings. So suppose the value here is 10 plus px, the string, so we will end up by getting 10 pixels. So this is what we wanted now, like at the end of the day, this is what we wanted, like we want 10 pixels, something like this. So instead of writing this 10 directly, what I will do, size input dot value plus the pixel, and that's it. And now let me just show you the output here. So now user can basically enter the size, let's say 20, and change, and as you can see the size is 20 now. I can make it, let's say 50, and now the font size is 50. I can make it 1, and now the font size is 1. See, so now the font size is 100. I hope you got this. So it was not that difficult. So again, we are using so many concepts together to achieve this thing. We are setting up an event listener. We are actually adding the two strings here. So we are adding the two strings here. So remember, like if you add the two string, it will actually get joined. And like we are using a loop over an array. So this is like we got some kind of array. It's not an array, but it's actually going to behave like an array. So it will have the length and all. So on the array, we are using the index number to target each element again and again, and that's it. We are using the function, we are using object. So this document is an object. Inside this object you have a function, and you need to pass the argument that you want to grab. And also we are actually using all the concepts. Server is down, like I couldn't understand what is the server and all. Okay, so we have covered all of this, and if it is clear, so we can move to the last part of today, and that is there are one more way by which you can change the styling, so you'll just see that as well. So just do let me know in the chat. You can watch this stream again, it will be uploaded, so you can, if you have any doubt, like if you missed something, you can just re-watch this stream. Okay, sounds good. So like from today we are actually using all the JavaScript, and now you could have understood why we have covered all the basic concept first. Because if I try to jump to these concepts directly, I'm pretty sure that you won't understand like what I was doing. So that is why we covered all the basic things, and now we can easily work with it. Okay, so now let me just tell you another way by which you can actually change the stylings. And for that I'm just going to remove all these cards for now. We don't need this anymore. The job section is not working in the website. Job section, like on which website you're asking? I think on the LetsUpgrade website. Let me just see it. LetsUpgrade.in. Yep, I think the server is down here. Yeah, so let's just wait for a minute. So we usually fix this in 15 to 30 minutes, so don't worry about that. After 15-30 minutes it will be actually getting fixed. Okay, very clear explanation. Yeah, so it's it will be get fixed in 15 minutes, so don't worry about that. Maybe the site is getting updated, so maybe because of that. Okay, so let's just see how we can change the styling by different way. So I will just change the styling for let's just change the styling for this button, right? So why to have a lot of elements? So I'm just going to change the styling for this button only. So for that what you can do, so let me just add a class here, btn. Okay, btn. So and inside, okay, so we will just do this later. So very first thing, just grab the button. So I'm just going to grab the button like this, and what was the ID? Change, like this. And now I want to change its styling for any reason. So this is what we were doing, button dot style dot, let's say I just want to give it some border radius to 50%, and button, I think I have, oh sorry, get element by ID. And now it's a lot, so let me just make it 10%. It's again not looking that great. Okay, so now we have our button here. So this was what we were doing so far. Like there's one more way. If you don't want to write like this, what you can do instead, you can just write button dot style equal to, and here you can directly write your CSS, whatever the CSS you want, you can directly write it here. Let's say border radius. And the fun part is, here you can write the simple CSS. See, I'm actually writing the simple CSS that actually we wanted, 10 pixels, and it is getting applied. Let's say if you want to do anything else, let's say the background color, so I'm giving it a background color and all. See, so if you don't want to write that dot and dot again and again, you can do this. But keep in mind that you have to write all these CSS properties in a single line. See, I'm writing this CSS property in a single line, because if I break the line here, now it will actually, your code will break. Now your JavaScript cannot understand like what is happening, where to start, where to end. So that is the thing. But if you want to write this thing in a multiple line, what I will suggest you, instead of double quote or instead of the single quote, you can use a very special symbol, and that is what we call as backtick. So you will get this backtick here. It's below the escape, so this one. So this is what we call as backtick. You can use this backtick instead of the single quote or the double quote. And what is the best part about backtick is, if you use backtick, so it's actually it's not going to do anything else. Now if you use backticks, you can basically have multiple lines in a string. So now I can use the multiple lines here like this, border none, color white, like this. So this is very much possible now. If I just use, so this was the CSS property. Yeah, okay, see, instead of the single quote or the double quote, use the backtick. You will find this below the escape key, and you can use this and it will give you the same result. But I generally prefer to go with that dot and dot dot background color dot, because it's much more defined and much more clear, so that's the reason. And this was the second way by which you can change the styling. Yep, and there's some more things which are still remaining, and we are going to learn about those concepts in the tomorrow session. And we are actually going to create a project with all the knowledge that we have got so far. So we will be creating a game, and the game is going to be a lot of fun. You can play that game with your friends and well, and it is called as How Lucky You Are. So that is what we are going to create tomorrow. And while creating that, I will be teaching you some more stuff about the JavaScript, how you can write the better code and all. So before ending this session, let me just remind you again about this. You have to mark your attendance, and the website is up again. So mark your attendance. You will get this one link here, and you can click on this button, refer 20. You will find this link in the description. Right now we are giving 7,000 rupees off on our both the courses, full stack data science and full stack web development. So these are the two courses that we provide. The duration of the courses is 6 months, and it is going to change, it is actually going to change your life. Like, it's not that expensive. After the coupon code, the prices will be below 30k, and you can just enroll to any of these courses. If you find any problem in getting enrolled, you can just WhatsApp us. So you can just click on this link, one link here, and you can just click here, and we will connect with you, and we will help you to decide like what you should choose, and how you can get enrolled. You can also choose our WhatsApp group, you can also join our WhatsApp group and the Telegram group. We will be solving your doubts here. And because it's not possible for me to explain the complete job ready program in the YouTube, we have some limited amount of time. It will take 6 to 8 months to just to complete, make you job ready. And obviously taking streams every day is not that priceful. So that's the thing. So yeah, I hope I'll see you in the classes. I also take the full stack course in the LetsUpgrade. So that's it about this session. I'll see you tomorrow in the tomorrow session. We will be creating some stuff with what we have learned so far. And for that, bye bye and take care.